The people who read our books actually, even your books, I think, are generally students and intellectuals. And it seems to me one of my concerns, and I expressed it to you before, is the huge split between the intellectual left, the petit bourgeois intellectual left, and the workers whose concerns seem to be very different now. And there's a huge difference. You see, for example, in many countries, when you complain about the far right, well, the far right does actually get the workers' vote in many places, you see, overwhelmingly. And the people who vote on the left tend to be, you know, intellectuals, teachers, students, and so on. So there's a big split. There's a sort of a strange situation there.
It can be, but I'm speaking from my own experience. It's mostly the United States, and England, the other place where I am often. I don't, to some extent, I agree, but I don't think it's as sharp as that. I mean, I speak to trade union groups. They're working people. They read the books. My own background from childhood was with, my family was working class, mostly unemployed working class in the 30s, very literate, high literary culture. Many of them never went past elementary school, but they were going to Shakespeare plays, discussing the latest concert of the Budapest String Quartet, reading Freud and Steckel, and debating fine points of psychiatry, reading, of course, all the left literature. That's pretty typical of working class culture, and it goes right back to the 19th century. You go back to the 19th century, there was both in Britain and the United States, and it was also true of the radical workers in France and Germany. They had a high level of intellectual culture, yes, and were reading serious material. In fact, part of their condemnation they had their own working class press. It was quite lively. The press in the United States, for example, it was written by Irish artisans from Boston, or young women from the farms who went into the textile mills. And one of their complaints was that the industrial system was destroying their intellectual culture. In fact, one of the major activities of left intellectuals in the 1930s was to reach out to the general public with science, mathematics, high culture, workers' education. A lot of that has declined, but it doesn't have to disappear. And I don't think it totally has disappeared. I mean, a lot of the mail I get and the people who show up at talks are people without much, people by now, everybody's gone to high school at least, as distinct from my own family, but without advanced degrees, people are just interested. I don't disagree with what you're saying. There is more of a break than there ought to be, but it doesn't have to be, and I think it can be overcome.